One react worst magic trick. Oh, from Penguins. Okay, I'll start with this real quick because I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be back in a second.
I'm sure you remember AOL, AIM, Instant Messenger, Lemon Party.
I'll be back in a second. I haven't even blasted off yet. I gotta.
Angel was a magician who really
rose to fame
in the early 2000s, even before video sharing sites like YouTube started popping off. He used to have his videos go viral on forums with people trying to figure out how he did some of his street magic. I even recall there being multiple articles written about Criss Angel about how he's like a Satan demon-worshipping deity that is put here on Earth as the Antichrist, using his magic tricks to deceive us into, you know, disproving and wavering our faith in the Lord or some crazy shit. For a brief moment in time, the guy who was making a toothpick vanish from his thumb was considered the most powerful sorcerer and most evil wizard of our time, at least by soccer moms. Though admittedly, back in the day, he did have some bloody tricks where he'd swallow a quarter and then cut his stomach and pull the quarter out. And all this controversy and hoopla and hubbub about Criss Angel eventually just served to make him more popular, and he got his own show on A&E called Mind Freak. That right there, that name, probably just had you hit with like a wave of nostalgia that nearly knocked you out of your chair. Mind Freak was a wildly successful show, and it ran for many seasons, but it is very much the most poorly aged show ever broadcast. Going back and watching it now is downright embarrassing and laughable. And today I want to show you a clip from Mind Freak, which is by far one of the worst magic tricks ever performed in the history of magic. This right here would absolutely get you expelled from Hogwarts. Yeah, so that's the trick. He's gonna turn this little girl into a 20-year-old. It's like some shit out of Fairly Odd Parents with Timmy Turner making a bad wish. It's about as stupid as you're expecting it to be. But I just want to quickly say, this was at the height of Criss Angel's popularity. This is back when I used to idolize this guy. I've talked about it before, but I used to really be big into magic tricks. I was like 2 Mind Freak episodes away from purchasing a top hat and sticking a deck of cards in my asshole to be able to do magic tricks wherever I went. I can't even count the number of times I did the toothpick vanishing trick from Criss Angel at my middle school lunch tables. I used to do that shit like once a week. I thought it made me the coolest guy in the world. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting carried away here. But anyway, this trick is not only bad, it's just creepy. Like, the concept of it is weird. I have expected this to be like a To Catch a Predator collab special or something, but it's just a Mind Freak original here that just is very odd. Next situation parents warn their kids about, that you just don't accept candy from strangers. I feel like he's about to ask her to sign her name in blood on the contract here in a moment. For some reason, he's so excited about this, like way more than the kid is. He's like giddy with excitement, like, oh, I'm about to rapidly age this person. Now, again, Mind Freak was supposed to be like real magic. That's the way it sold itself back in the day. So things like this were meant to be believed as genuine magic tricks, not, you know, editing and shit like that and jump cuts. Now, of course, when I say real magic, I don't mean like actual witchcraft or anything. I mean magic tricks. That's the fun of magic, is figuring out how the trick and illusion was performed. But with Mind Freak, it became very clear that the answer was always editing or camera tricks, which is cheating, really. And the concept of the show was also really dumb looking back on it. It was basically like vlogging before vloggers existed. So he'd walk around Las Vegas with a camera crew, and random people he'd walk up to and just like ask to do magic for. And like, you know, he'd walk up to some kid and like his family and be like, hey, are you using this kid? No? Do you mind if I levitate them? They're like, hey, Criss Angel, go for it. Yeah, fuck. I mean, Jesus, send him to the Shadow Realm. I don't care. So then Criss Angel's like, oh, great. All right, come here, camera guys. Watch this. So he like taps the kid's head and starts fucking floating him around. You know, it's supposed to be like he's just on the street doing crazy magic out of nowhere. This guy's unhinged. If you're walking around Vegas, you know, you might just see him transmogrify a human being into a unicorn. He also became famous for always doing like these over-the-top like Mind Freak moments, and he'd like come at the camera like.
I think the real reason why Criss Angel was famous was because he was hot and dressed really well. People will say I'm controversial for this, but I think that was the real reason. Guy Autumn 2011, thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
For transitions, he'd come at it like, and the camera would go into his mouth and then go to the next trick where all of a sudden he's taking a woman's shoe off and like turning it into a snake or whatever. It was so silly. Like, the concept of the show is dumb looking back on it, but the tricks in the show are the goofiest things.
Nah, it was literally Pretty Privileged, bro. Was a shit-ass magician. Okay, I was kidding. What's your excuse? Like, I just baited you into saying that you thought Chris Angel was hot. Chris Angel is like the perfect example of a dude who could be good looking, but has done absolutely everything in his fucking power to just not look good. You know what I mean? Like, people will fucking shit on me for saying this, but he could have been good looking if he dressed normal and just got hella tatted up and had a decent haircut. Chris Angel is the perfect example, a perfect demonstration of like every guy could be a 7 or every guy could be a 1 if they don't do the fucking things that they're supposed to do. He looks like one of those goofy pickup artist guys. You know what's really funny about the goofy pickup artist guy rhetoric here? Goofy pickup artist guys are the ones who stole that look from the magicians, which I feel like Chris Angel is a bit of both. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
Imaginable.
Just like this. Perfect. Now,
bro, for my next magic trick, I'm going to do a Matt Walsh. For my next magic trick, I am going to go to federal prison.
One of the biggest lies in television history, the continuous shot cam. That was a staple on the show to prove like, no, these are like real time. But that continuous shot cam is the biggest fucking phony since Bernie Madoff. There is nothing ever in the entire history of Mind Freak that is a continuous shot. It just doesn't exist in the show. There are some real tricks he does, but the majority of it is just camera shit. Like actual post-editing. Which is cheating if you ask me, and most people feel the same way. But regardless, I'm getting carried away. Let's get back to the dark...
I love Charlie writing for the integrity of magic, by the way. Like there are unspoken rules, or I guess spoken rules, right? And Charlie's like, nah, man, you're breaking those fucking rules, dog. Like, that's not how this works. No, I mean, I get it. Because, like, the sleight of hand is an impressive feat, okay? Sleight of hand is all about years and years and years of fucking work. Misdirection is all about years of work, having the confidence to be able to pull it off. You know what I mean? These are hard skills to cultivate. You can just never need any of that by basically just doing... You don't need any of that if you just have editing on your side. So I get it. I get what... I get the difference.
Arts of Chris Angel here.
No one with any acting chops is going to take on the role of like, hey, can you get this pedophile... Can you do this pedophilia magic trick? So, of course, like, the person that they got to play this role is going to be dog shit. You know what I mean? Which makes the thing so much funnier. You know what I mean? Because in order for this libertarian magic trick to work, which, you know, you have to be a fucking idiot. Like, in order for this libertarian magic trick to work, the audience has to have multiple concussions, okay? And then also beyond that, at the very least, on her end, she has to be decent. She has to be decently good at acting. She'll be like, oh my God, I'm 20. Like, the only person who thought this was real is Herschel Walker, okay? Herschel Walker watched this and then did a Christian curse on Chris Angel, Mind Freak. He was like so scared about magic being real. He did a prayer to make sure that this, Satan spawn was no longer.
Mom, excuse me? Mom, who are you?
Get mind freaked, bitch! Oh, he's not human! You just got mind freaked!
So silly. And he doesn't change her back. Now she's 20 forever. Now she's just missed her entire teenage years and everything. You know, get pranked, idiot. Shouldn't have said yes to Chris Angel. But yeah, so pretty impressive trick, clearly. A real brain buster. But I want to quickly explain why I stopped watching Mind Freak even as a kid, because I had like stars in my eyes whenever it came to Chris Angel. I was basically like a K-pop stan for Chris Angel before stan culture was a real thing. I'd fight this man's battles on forums for him saying, no, Chris Angel would never do like camera tricks. That's so lowbrow. Chris Angel does real magic tricks. We're all just too stupid to figure out exactly how. But then he did one trick that was so fucking bad, so insulting, it spit in my face and shattered my universe. Like, I never stopped watching Mind Freak because of the overdose of cringe. I stopped watching because of just one trick that ruined the entire thing for me. It was when he did the Spyglass Hotel escape. It was part of a Mind Freak special where the whole concept...
I love that he was like a forum defender. God, he is such a fucking Floridian man, dude. It's the most Florida thing you could do, is go on an internet forum and defend the sanctity of magicians.
Concept was, there's this building in Clearwater that was going to be demolished, and Chris Angel was going to go in there handcuffed and escape from like the first floor all the way to the rooftop and escape via helicopter, like something out of 007 GoldenEye. So he had to like pick the lock on his handcuffs, pick the locks on every door in the hotel, and make it to the roof. And it was a live broadcast, and you're watching Chris Angel pick the locks and shit, but he's running out of time. And then the cameras go black, completely cut out. And then it goes to the outside shot, and the building gets demolished. It gets blown up, and Chris Angel's still inside. So you feel like you just witnessed a murder. Chris Angel was just publicly executed, buried beneath the rubble. He's dead. And we saw it live. We couldn't save him. He wasn't fast enough. But then miraculously, he emerges from the debris like a phoenix from the ashes, and he's just fine. And that's when I knew it was all a lie from the get-go. I had been scammed. Of course, I didn't believe he ever did real magic. I always knew they were tricks. That's the whole point of magic. That's what makes it interesting. How did somebody do this? How did they pull off the illusion? And the answer was seldomly editing or camera tricks or anything like that, at least back then. But with Chris Angel, it became clear with this trick that that's the number one thing he relied on, because I started to piece it together. The obvious answer for how he did this was, for the live broadcast, he just played footage from like a practice run where he was picking locks throughout the building. He was never actually doing it. Now, for the live audience, he was actually in the building at some point and picked like a handcuff, and then he ran inside only to not be seen again for like 6 minutes. So clearly what must have happened is, for the live audience, he was there and just went out the back door, waited for the building to be demolished, and then just came out, covered himself in dust, and then walked away. For the live broadcast, he just played previous footage that wasn't live, that he had already filmed way before like anything was set up to be demolished. So it was just completely a scam from the get-go. And it made me super upset because I had fought for this guy, like his integrity, for years, saying like his tricks are...
I think the reason why, first of all, what the fuck? Charlie defending Chris Angel is so funny. The reason why I think it's really shitty and lame is because, like, if you're gonna do editing and VFX and stuff, then you can do Marvel. Okay? Like, you don't have to just stop it at like, I'm gonna be inside of a demolished building. Just fucking do like, I'm gonna fly and lasers are gonna come out of my eyes and I'm gonna kill people with them. So at that point, if you're gonna rely heavily on editing, then you might as well. If you're gonna rely heavily on editing, you might, guys, stop fucking soy facing and bat chesting Marvel. I'm talking like you could do pretty much anything. You know what I mean? It was low budget in the early 2000s. No, you can just literally, my point is you can do anything when you have editing. And instead they're going with like the lowest bottom of the barrel, like bullshit. It's like a superhero whose power is being a pedophile. Okay. That's what it is. Well, that was an earlier joke that he had. That was a joke about his earlier superpower, which is making a 8-year-old turn into a 20-year-old, apparently.